Okay, students, we're gonna see this problem. Okay, we're gonna see the problem, the big number. Okay, it said write a program that take an input as an input two positive integer, right? And determine which number is larger and calculate the difference. Okay, input two positive number integers, and the output should be the difference between the two numbers, right? Or the statement that the number are equal. Okay, this is what we have to do. So how do we do this? With selection, right? So first of all, we need to receive the input, the number, right? And then using selection, evaluate which number is larger than the other one. Okay? And if we have that, we need to display the difference, right? The difference of the number. Otherwise, the number is going to be the same, right? So they're going to be equal, right? So we have to display this message. Okay, so here, what information should we output? Remember the difference or the message that they are equal, right? What constant variable do we need? We need to write the program, right? Okay, so now that you analyze, let me show you the sample output. So you have to display a message. Enter two positive number. Okay, assume that the user entered the number 3, and then space number 7 and press enter. So you're gonna send two numbers, right? So you need to use the next in to calculate the first one, number 3, and then immediately next in to calculate the number 7. Correct? Okay. In one line, the user is gonna provide you two numbers. Okay. So I'm gonna show you now how to do that in Beans. And after that, you have to display the message. In this case, 7 is larger than 3. The difference is 4. Another sample output. Okay. So user run and enter 3 space 3. Enter. And you have to display the message 3 is the same as 3. You enter the same number twice. Okay. So first of all, you have to realize that you need to create variable, right? This is the first thing that you have to identify, right? So let's gonna do that. So everyone open NetBeans and let's gonna call that. So let's gonna create a class called bigger number, for example. Okay. See here. I click. Okay, so let's gonna create a new Java main class, right? So let's gonna call this one a bigger number. Okay, bigger number. Ish. Okay, and now we're gonna follow the coding standard. Okay, so let me go here to bigger number. Okay, so now let's gonna add a brief description about this program, right? So let me type this program prompts the user for two numbers, right? If the numbers are different, the difference is calculated, right? The difference is calculated, right? Then what happened? If the number are the same, right? What happened? The user is inform that that the user is informed that the user enter the same number. Okay? Okay, just a brief description of your product following our coding standard, right? Okay, now before the main method, right? Okay, we have to explain what this method is gonna do, right? What the main method is gonna execute. So this main method is gonna identify uh, the bigger number, right? Entered by the user, and print the difference if the number are the same. It's correct. It print a message, right? So we're gonna write that. So we're going next in some week we're gonna start learning methods. So you're gonna notice that you need to comment each method. For now, all the logic is inside the main method, but it's gonna get the good habit to enter the comment for the method. So here, this method identifies correct, identify the bigger number, correct, enter by the user, right, print what, the difference, correct. If the numbers are the same, what happened? It brings a message, right? It brings a message. Okay? Okay. So now, remember, you have to comment here main method and bigger number class. Okay? Okay. Now what happened? We need to declare our variable, right? Correct? So just remember, here the user is gonna enter two numbers, right? So we need two variables at least, right? For the number, right? Remember the input. The user is gonna enter number 3 and then number 7. So we need two variables. What kind of variable? They're gonna be integer, right? Because we are telling the user enter integers number. So it's gonna create the integers number here. So here immediately in the main method, the first thing that you have to do is just type declare variable, right? And declare your variable. So int, for example, n1 correct equals 0. We declare and initialize the variable, and you have to write a comment why we need this variable. So it's gonna be the first value, correct? Enter by the user, right? Correct. And you need another one, right? And 2 equals 0, following up with the standard. And the same thing, right? Second value entered by user. Okay. So now what's happening? What is gonna be our output? The difference is, and then we need to compute the difference. So we need a variable, and let's gonna call that a variable integer and difference, right? And initialize to 0. And why do I need that? As I told you, this is gonna help us to compute the difference of the number, right? To compute the difference of the numbers, correct? Correct. Okay. And then what's next? Remember, we need to interact with the user. So what do we need? It is declare the scanner. Remember, the scanner has This has to be the first line in your code, the import, right? Import java.ut.scanner. Okay, and now we're gonna create a scanner here. Scanner input equal new scanner. Right? Okay, and remember what do we have to write inside the parentheses? System dot int, right? And then here, what is that? You can set scanner used to get input from the user. It's simple, right? Just at least describe why you need a variable, right? Okay, now that we have our variables, what is the next step? Okay, the next step is, display the message, right? Enter two positive number, right? Okay. So when I display here, the first thing is display the message, right? So ask the user for the data, right? So you can type here prompt user for numbers, right? Correct? So now you're going to display the message system out, enter two positive integers. Enter two positive integers, right? Use print, right? Because you're going to display the message and leave the cursor here. So the user is going to be able to enter the numbers, right? Okay, good. So now what happened? When the user enter number 3 space 7, in this case, in this example, then press enter, right? Boom. And then we need to store the data, right? So we need to read the values, right? So here, read, first value, right? Read first value and store in the variable, for example, n1. Correct? So how can I do that? So n1 is gonna be equal what? The scanner. Remember, the scanner is gonna help us to store the data. Input that next int, right? Correct? Okay. So when the user type 3 space 7 enter, we're gonna calculate the number 3 with next int in the variable n1. But I need to calculate also the number 7, right? Right? So I need to read the second value, right? Here. Read second value and store in the variable num2, right? Right? Okay, so how can I do that? So the variable is num2, right? Equal input next int, correct? Okay. So now, when the user type 3 space 7 and press enter, the scanner receives the first integer with next int. The scanner input that next int and store that in the variable n1. Then you use the scanner next int and store the data in the variable n2. Okay. We have the data there. Okay. So now that we have the data, okay, first thing, you declare the variable with the scanner, right? Second, you prompt the user for data, right? And receive the data. We did it. Okay, now what is the next step? The next step is selection. Compare the values, right? Compare the data. So this is the thing right here. Compare values, right? Enter the value that the user entered, right? By the user. Values entered by the user. Correct? Okay, how can I start the selection? Remember? If what? Remember parentheses and immediately curly braces. Okay. Now what happened is what? It's gonna see what is the purpose for this program, right? If, right? If we need to evaluate, correct, this number, correct? So we need to evaluate which number is bigger, right? And then what happened? And display the message for the difference, right? Okay, so we need to know which number is bigger. So how can I do that? So if, for example, n than 2, right? This is the variable that is holding the data, right? So the user enters, for example, number 3 and 7. So n and 2 is holding 7, right? N and 1 is holding 3. Based on this example, n and 1, 3, n and 2, 7. Okay, so if n and 2 is n and 2 is greater than n and 1, okay, what can I do here? Okay, if this is the case, so you have to compute the difference, right? Correct? Okay, so what is the variable for the difference? Remember, n difference. N difference is gonna be what? Okay, n and 2 minus n and 1, right? Correct? So now, if n and 2 is greater than n and 1, we're gonna calculate the difference. Calculate the difference, right? Okay. And then what else? Let me see the sample output here. 3, 7, enter. 7 is larger than 3. Okay, we have to display the message, and then the difference is 4. We have the data in the variable n different, right? Okay, so now that we have here, let's gonna display the message. So let's gonna set print the values entered by the user, right? Correct? And we're gonna display here 7 is larger than 3. Okay, which variable now is holding the number 7? Okay, which variable is holding the number 7? So let me do something here to help you. Okay, or I can use Paint. Let me see if I can use Excel to help you with this program. Let me see. Okay, so assume that you have memory and you have eight boxes here. This is we call that n1 n1 and you have here n2, right? Correct? At the beginning, the variables have 0, right? Because we initialize that with 0, right? 0, 0. But then the user provide data. So provide 3 space 7, right? So what happened here? We receive the first number, in this case, which number? 3, the variable n and 1, right? So n and 1 now is going to be 3, correct? And now in n and 2, we receive the next integer, right? That is going to be 7, right? Okay, so it's going to write here now the number 7. Okay, so we have the data in your variables in the computer memory, right? Okay, so now you compare your variables. In this case, n and 2, 7 versus n and 1, 3, right? if n and 2 is greater than n and 1, that this is our case, n and 2 is greater than n and 1, what happens? We're going to compute the difference. And it's going to display a message, right? Which message we're going to display? We're going to display 7 is greater than 3. So you have to display 7, no, number, right? 7 is greater than 3, right? Correct? 7 is larger than 3, right? Correct? Okay. But what happens if the user enter different numbers? For example, 10 and 4. What happened? You're going to display the message here. 7 is larger than 3, but the user enter different data. Enter 4 and 10. So you have to display here 10. Okay, there is a problem. So instead of to hard code the message with the data, correct? You can use variable. Which variable is holding the number? This case was 7 and 3, right? Okay. Which variable now is holding the number 7? N and 2, right? Okay, so use N and 2 here. Plus concatenation. N and 2 is greater than, and the same thing. Instead of to hard code C, let's gonna concatenate that with the variable N and 1, because N and 1 is holding the number 3. Okay? So we have that now. Okay? At least we are able to detect which number is bigger, and based on that, we are gonna display the message here. 7 is larger than 3, correct? And then what else? The difference is, okay. Now, what happened? Now, you have to display the message, okay, about the difference, right? So, it's just a message. So, you can comment that and say, display the difference. No, displaying the difference, right? System that out, right? And display, for example, the difference is right. What is the exact message? The difference is okay, space, and which variable in this program is holding the difference. See that? It's different, right? So just display the variable there. So the difference is whatever you compute the difference in your variables. Correct? Okay, so it's like this in the Excel here. And difference, right? So now in this case you have equal 7 minus this one, right? So if you change that, you're gonna have the difference there, right? Correct? So this is what we have now. So the variable difference, we are computing the difference of those variables. With which formula? The formula that is here. So if n is greater than n2 is greater than n1, you compute the difference. In the variable n difference, you have the result that you're gonna display. And then you display whatever you have in n2, in this case 7, is larger than whatever you have in n1. You have in this case 3, but the data can change because they are variable, right? And then display the difference is, n different, right? Right? Okay. So this is the first part, right? And now, what happened now? What happened if n1 is greater than n2? What happened here? Recommendation, comment the n curly braces and set and validation n2 greater than n1. Correct. Now what happened? It's gonna type else if and write another condition here. Okay, which condition you're gonna write here? Now, if n and 1 now is greater than n and 2. What happens if n and 1 is greater than n and 2? In this case, for example, n and 1, for example, 7, and n and 2, for example, 3. Oh, the difference is going to be negative. Okay, I don't want that. I want a positive difference. Okay, so I have to change the way to compute the formula, right? It should be in this case now n and 1 minus n and 2 to get that positive difference, right? Okay, this is what we're going to do here. If n and 1 is greater than n and 2, let me copy and paste this code. What's happening? Calculate the difference, but now the difference is going to be if n and 1 is greater than n and 2, the difference has to be now in this order, right? Correct? And then the value that you enter should be which one is going to be the larger number. Correct? Now it's going to be n and 1 is larger than n and 2 because this is what we're validating here. N and 1 greater than n and 2. Okay, compute the difference, but first, you know, n and 1 is the bigger, so n and 1 minus n and 2. And then display the message. N and 1, in this case, is larger than n and 2, right? And the difference, you have the correct difference there. Right? So let's come in here. No, n validation for n and 1 greater than n and 2, right? Okay, and then what is the other case? Okay, else, the last case should be else, which means that n and 1 should be equal, correct? Equal. So n and 1 and n and 2 are going to have the same, right? So now what we can do is in the else just print that the values are the same, right? Yeah, print that the values are the same. Right? Okay, system that out. And then it should be n and 1 equal to n and 2, right? Correct? So we can use concatenation n and 1, correct? Concatenation with what? Concatenation with the message, right? So n and 1 is the same, correct? Is the same as, and then concatenation with the variable n and 2, right? Because you know that both variables have the same values, right? Okay, so just display the message. But look at the message. You want a period, right? Period. Okay, so let me concatenate that period. The same thing here. Plus concatenate period. Okay, so else numbers are the same, right? Correct. And then what else? Another message. You enter the number. You enter the same number twice. Okay. Another message. The message when numbers are the same, right? Just to it out and just display. You enter, right? You enter the numbers, right? The numbers twice. You enter the same number, right? Twice. right? Period. So let's gonna test now. One file. And don't forget to put it here. And else statement to display when numbers are the same. Okay. So enter two positive numbers. For example, 3 space 4. Enter. 4 is larger than 3. The difference is 1. Perfect. We're gonna run again. And now we're gonna enter 3 space 3. 3 is the same as 3. You enter the same number twice. Perfect. Run another one. 12 and 13. 13 is larger than 12. 12, perfect. The difference is 1. Perfect. 12 and 11. 12 is greater than 11. Perfect. So which case is that? So the first number is greater, right? So you're going to be in the else case here, right? Right. So I hope this video helped you. Okay. So hide the solution and try to do that by yourself. Okay. So and follow the coding standard. It's really important. Okay. Okay. Thank you.